I've been playing video games for 37 years. 37 years now. I think we've gotten to a point where we are starting to forget what gaming is and what gaming is about. Welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about I want to talk about what actually represents gaming, because we got a lot of people that defend certain things and call other things trash when clearly they don't know what they're talking about. Like, seriously, don't know what they're talking about. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I've been a PlayStation fan since the very first PlayStation. Like, I've bought every single one of those. It used to be my daily driver, my go-to console for everything. That was back when Sony used to make games. See, I'm a gamer, and then they started making movies that have a little bit of interaction in them, during when you're not watching the movie parts of them. Microsoft has kind of taken the reins of actually making video games that are fun to play alone, fun to play with friends. It's more of an inviting ecosystem to where more people can, hang out and have fun. Whereas PlayStation, man, it's such a lonely experience. Such a lonely experience for me. As a PlayStation gamer over the years, it was, because I'm here in America. We have a lot of people that, play Xbox. And me, I was always a PlayStation fan. I was like, oh, PlayStation this, PlayStation that. PlayStation's better. PlayStation looks better. All the things that the people say in the comment section. That was me. That was literally me. I wasn't as extreme as they are, though. I wasn't jumping from YouTube channel to YouTube channel saying PlayStation's better by any means. But over the years, it's always been like this. I've always felt like as a PlayStation gamer that I needed to be I wanted to play nothing but single player experiences. And buying an Xbox for Forza Horizon 3 last generation, man, that was like, whoa, dude, this is a freaking amazing game. And then I started, I got like the Gears of Wars, and I started playing, like some of the Halo stuff like that. And I started buying the Microsoft first party games. And then it kind of like struck me, toward the end of the Xbox One generation. I was like, wow, man, I'm playing these Xbox games, and I'm playing them a lot. Like I'm going out of my way to turn on this Xbox, and I am playing Microsoft first party games more often than I'm playing my PlayStation games. I would buy every single PlayStation first party game, like no matter what, day one. I would buy them. I would play through them, and I would be like, oh yeah. And I would just be like, I would be in the zone. Like I'd be in the zone, playing Death Stranding. I was in the zone, man. I had 4-day weekend for Thanksgiving, and I just sat down and I just played through that. And I was like, wow, man, this is an amazing game. And I kept playing. And I think my completion time on that was like 54 hours, man. I spent like 54 hours. I was so glued to that game that I was like, man, this thing is great. The same with The Last of Us 2. I ended up playing through that on a weekend. I got through that, the whole game in a weekend. I got through... God of War, I got through that in a weekend. I got through all of these games. Ghost of Tsushima, I got through that in a weekend. All of these games, I get through them in a weekend. And it's what drives me to play them is the heavy story content. Like, I'm like, oh gosh. And so that just drives me right through the whole game because I want to get to the story. I want to know the story. I want to finish the story. So I don't necessarily play those like I would play an Assassin's Creed game. Like an Assassin's Creed game, I'm like out there exploring the world, and like of course I'm getting through the story on the Assassin's Creed games too, but I don't feel as rushed to get through those, is because there's not like one beat to the next beat to the next beat, like a PlayStation game is. Like the PlayStation games, they tend to drag me right into the story and pull me through the rest of the game. And a lot of that has to do with the in-between gameplay not being as... I would say it's average. I would say it's pretty average gameplay. It's nothing like, oh my gosh, that's freaking cool. Like, I mean, Death Stranding, that one was cool. That was a cool game. Like, getting through the open environment, trying to find the best way, making routes, creating things to help other players, stuff like that. Like, that was cool and innovative. To me, that really helped me want to be in that world longer. I would go out of my way to just do that kind of stuff, to find an extreme path and to get through that. Like, that was fun. That was engaging. That was super engaging. And the story content was probably the best Hideo Kojima's ever done. Like, I love that game more than anything else he's ever put out. And that one, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, when I played through that first game, I was still firmly PlayStation fanboy when I played through that. I was still firmly a PlayStation fanboy when I played through Horizon Zero Dawn, because that came out well before Xbox One X. So I was still, on my PlayStation 4 Pro, I was still firmly PlayStation fanboy at that point. And I was like, wow, this game is great. Like, it looks beautiful. It looks good on my 4K TV and, everything. And I was firmly still in the PlayStation fanboy when I played that. When I played other games toward the end, like Death Stranding was really good. When I played games like Ghost of Tsushima and, Final Fantasy VII Remake, stuff like that, I was already starting to kind of lean more towards like playing what Microsoft had been putting out, like Gears 5 and all these other games, and I found myself sitting there thinking like, man, these PlayStation games are actually pretty average when it comes to gameplay. Like, they're nowhere near better than what Microsoft is putting out, and this was my own struggle. I wasn't online doing any of the, doing like YouTube or anything like that. This was my own struggle that I went through with, trying to like stop being a PlayStation fanboy and starting to kind of look across, to both consoles and really appreciate and understand what both ecosystems deliver. And then, Game Pass came out, and I got that. I had like I got that, and I started playing some of those games, and I started playing games that I normally never would have even like went out of my way to buy. And then, things just kept snowballing. It just kept snowballing. And like the end of the PlayStation 4 generation was freaking fire. I mean, we had Ghost of Tsushima, we had Spider-Man, we had all these cool games that were fine, that were great. Spider-Man probably has the most interesting in-game story content, the most interesting gameplay, like animations, movement, stuff like that. It was like, whoa, man, this is pretty fun, like swinging through the city is really fun. And it's still really fun today. Like, I can get on to Spider-Man and I can play around with that for, a little while and just swinging around and having fun, because it's like, wow, this is fun. But when you compare that to what Xbox is bringing to the table, the content that Xbox brings, not all of it's like, oh my gosh, that's perfect gameplay or anything like that, but it is engaging enough to where it's like, wow, this stuff is pretty cool, man. And then just having the power of the Xbox One X last generation to back that up and to give me a better visual experience on a lot of third-party games, that really just kind of tilted my hand, more toward the Xbox ecosystem. And then Xbox Series X launches, and then a lot of my games get upgraded, and I'm just like, wow, man, this is great. PlayStation came out of the gate swinging with the PlayStation 5, bringing out, you know, the heavy cutscenes and the tech demos and all of that stuff. And it's like, why are we getting tech demos when we were getting freaking great games? And now all of a sudden, you know, we're getting all these games that we've already played. We're paying $10 upgrade fees for them. And then a lot of the games that are coming out now are still literally heavily rooted in a PlayStation 4 generation. Horizon Zero Dawn for me was magical. I was still in that, like, oh man, this is great, the PlayStation mindset. Like I was still like heavily invested in PlayStation ecosystem at that time. And now with Horizon Forbidden West, I tried to play it last night for a little while, and I tried to just sit back and like really just, you know, go around and look at things and try to, and I was playing it in the 60 FPS mode, and I'm like, where's that magic? Where's that magic that used to be there for me when I would play Sony first party games? And I'm looking everywhere for it, and I'm looking at, you know, like the textures and the world geometry and the detail and everything, and I'm looking at it and I'm just like where is that magic, you know? And I was doing okay for a second there, and I'm looking at things and I'm like, you know, honestly, this doesn't look too bad with the fuzziness on it. It as long as you're looking close to the character, like it really doesn't look too bad. And then like I get up to the top of this hill and I look over and it's just fog freaking everywhere. And it's so thick and you can't really see anything. And I'm looking at like I'm over by the coast, you know, I'm over by the coast, and I'm coming up over this hill and I'm looking down. It's nighttime. And all I see is like these heavy, thick clouds and then fog everywhere. And I'm just like, dude, I can't see anything over there. Like what is there for me to go over there and explore? And so I just sat at the top of the hill and I just waited and waited and waited. And I was trying to like rekindle that feeling, you know, that I had for, you know, the first game. And I just couldn't do it. And then somebody hit me up on, you know, on the chat for the Xbox, like, hey man, come play some Halo. So I was like, all right, man. So I jump in there and I start playing Halo with some of the guys, and I'm like, gosh dang, man, this game just feels so good. It's so fun to play. You know, we're just playing some, you know, some Halo Infinite multiplayer or whatever, and like I jump into the match and I get killed 5 times before I even make a kill, and then like completely everything just turns around and it like comes back to me, and I'm starting to do pretty good in there, and we're having fun, and we almost win that match. But it's just those moments. It's like your friends hit you up and you jump into a game and you're playing like nobody can do that with Horizon Forbidden West. Like you're stuck in that experience by yourself. And you have to deal with what your mind is feeling and what you're seeing on your screen, and trying to find a reason to want to be in there and play that game versus somebody else calling you up and being like, hey man, come play this with me. It was at that moment where I realized last night that like I would much rather own Xbox first party games and just play PlayStation first party games on a subscription service. To be completely honest with you, I would much rather be able to just get through, you know, like Horizon Forbidden West or God of War, or I mean Gran Turismo. That's something that I'd want to own because I'd go back and play that. But any of their story games, any of their heavy story games, man, I would be perfectly happy just paying like a $20 subscription service to rent that game or to play that game, to get through that game. You know, give me 30 days, you know, let me pay $20, let me get through the game, and then and rent it like you would rent a movie, you know, or go to a movie theater and see the movie. Like I would much rather that experience be like that as opposed to what it is now, because I have no reason to own Horizon Forbidden West. I have no reason to own I have no reason to own Horizon Forbidden West or any of the other games like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I have no reason to own those. I'm never going to play them again. They sit there. I mean, I might make a video on them. So I mean, like, because I have this channel and everything, but technically I have no real reason to own them. So that's kind of where I'm at with this, with the whole PlayStation raising their price to $70. The quality of the games, because while they do look better most of the time, that's basically it. They look better. They look better, but they have average gameplay. Everything else is still basically, smaller world, whatever. I don't necessarily think I need to own those games to enjoy those games. I probably would be much happier if I was able to just play those on a subscription service and then move forward. So that's my thoughts on that. That's how I'm feeling about it right now. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.